Hey, good morning, Henry McClure Live, getting up and after it. So, I'm going to make a series of posts that go into detail about my um, personal interactions with the Economic Development Plan and Go Topeka. And I'd just like to say how poorly there's it's a double-edged sword. you make you make one deal that's just off the charts great for you, but was it good for the taxpayers? And even a matter of fact, there was a one of the pundits that used to get up and speak quite often and poignantly about Go Topeka when it came to Doug Kinzinger and the Vilas. Um, I would really like Joe Ledbetter to come forward and talk about um, 49th Street and how when I was trying to develop as a public-private partnership all the lands um, south of Frito Lane, north of 49th Street. And what I was trying to do when we originally were developing the Commerce Park, I actually had a cute name. I liked my name, Planet Kansas. Land here. You know what? I think that's a good marketing strategy. I mean, that's Elon Muskish. Hey, we need to reach out to old Elon because we got a lot of real estate out there. He could land his, his rockets. And that's another point one I want to bring up today is all the land that is in the title entitled to Go Topeka, the growth organization of Topeka. Or is it the growth organization of Shawnee County? I'll have to look at it. It's been a while. So originally in in Topeka form, we hire a consultant. We first thing we've got to do is we've got to engage a consultant. And I'll tell you something, I liked what the consultant said. I believed in what he was saying. We need shovel ready land. And to get shovel ready land, the very first thing you got to do is have the infrastructure in place. And hopefully, as people try to tear off the layers of Henry, you start figuring out it's not just about me. But I'm telling you something, when it comes to me, I know how to make a deal. I've got a nose for a deal. I wanted the opportunity to be a developer in Topeka. So they send out this call for shovel ready land because that's what the consultant said to do. So I had to turn over all my information to Doug Kinzinger and Go Topeka. And you could redact certain things. But the point I'm saying is they had all the contracts. Well, do you really have the right to be negotiating on this land? And so I'd made a deal with Dave Herman, who had a small place where the brewery is now, the Happy Bassett, and then I made a deal with Dick May and the Wilsies for all the land that came up to my 75 acres that I sold years ago, maybe 18 years ago, today that sits vacant with a sign from some brokers from Kansas City to put $1 million facility. So let's look at this real quickly. Let's just focus in this as a real estate professional because that's what this whole thing is going to be about. This whole um, rant. or explanation is about engaging all the real estate people that want to get the opportunity to do deals. So the call for shovel ready land goes out. I put together uh, almost 200 acres of land, and the whole idea is to market this. Time marches on. Wilsey expires, and within a week, from what I'd have to look back, and you can ask Dick May. Dick will tell you that they came in, wanted to buy the land, but he almost said, he said it like this: well, now Henry McClure won't be in this deal, will he? But during the time for the shovel ready land, we did what's called a break and access story or a study, more traffic studies. Well, so KDOT looked at our break and access study, and at 45th or 49th Street and Highway 75, you can have a break and access. So we could put an interchange there. And the whole idea is that that interchange is going to get better traffic to the Commerce Park. You get more truck traffic off the network. The easier it is to have ingress and egress out of the whole Commerce Park, you've got better opportunity uh, to make deals. So today, and I'm going to start doing some research on it, we need to look at how much land Go Topeka has title to. Growth Organization of Topeka. So if you've got title to the land and you control the economic development money, you've completely frozen out Henry McClure. But if you freeze me out, you freeze out anybody with a real estate license. So the whole everybody in the real estate community, the commercial people then were you had Associated Commercial Brokers, of course KS Commercial, uh, Doug Bassett, Brian Schlosser, me, and anybody that wants to dabble into commercial real estate. And to my residential people, all the residential people, I think they're some of the most valuable assets we've got because number one, we're all we are already trained that we don't get paid until the deal gets going. And that's a bad thing about government is um, government doesn't have to perform and those paychecks keep coming in. And here's what I slept on overnight was, or actually, I might have had the idea right before I went to bed, is if you read the interlocal agreement, where does it say, that you can create $1.9 million in overhead? Do you see that they're stealing $1.9 million to run an organization to keep us out of the real estate business? So there's the quandary right there. So I need to get all the real estate people to push back. And what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Because oh, well, I'm like, well, they're not going to like me. They're not going to want to do business with me. Well, they're already not doing business with you, and they've set it up to never do business with you. They don't really care about you. They don't. If the top 1%ers want to fund Go Topeka, let them do it. But the taxpayers should not fund one more nickel. Zero. And if I was elected as your county commissioner in District 2, I will never vote to enable Go Topeka, not a nickel. We've got to start putting our money into infrastructure. You're better off putting money into the right infrastructure. So let's just make it fairly. So if I've got to run a sewer line from over there to over here, and I've got to cross a bunch of public land, well, I think the government ought to at least stub the utilities to the premise so I can use it. It's like if you had a big building. Let's say you have a huge warehouse, and then a guy wants to build out a space. Well, it's tradition that the landlord would stub the premises to that site, and then the guy puts up his own money. And in this case, the government is here as the landlord. So you're going to increase your tax base by the more deals you make. And that was the whole thing that the consultants sold us on. The whole reason you do this whole economic development money, it's to grow the tax base and increase the population. And that's my point. It didn't work. So let's pivot. It's time to pivot. It what we did out there, look at all those big deals out there. Who did it enrich? But it didn't increase our population and it didn't grow the tax base. Look at your real estate taxes. Look what's happened over the years. And there's all this with the evaluation and all this stuff going on. But we need to increase the population. So every existing business here has got a better gene pool to draw from. So we really need to start taking a look at what is economic development and how are we going to go about it and where are the funds going to go. I know that some of my videos get all because it's not scripted. This is just stuff I've lived on. So today's morning lecture, Coffee with Henry McClure Live, is about the original call to action. And I bought into it hook, line, and sinker. And then I've been affected, the net effect of Go Topeka, because what happens is they don't want to work with me or you because they've got to justify the $1.9 million in overhead. And show me in the interlocal agreement where it says that that's even legal to fund Go Topeka. Economic development isn't given your caretaker to the economic development funds 38, 39% of the money to administer it. I mean, go. I mean, come on. Like over the years, I think one of the best charities ever has been the Salvation Army. Because I think the Salvation Army on a worldwide basis only has 10% of the gifts go to overhead. And let me tell you something. The last thing I should ever do is mention Go Topeka and the Salvation Army in the same context. So what they've done now is the um, the incestuous relationship between the Greater Topeka Chamber of Commerce and Go Topeka, and that needs to just be divided. So you defund Go Topeka, give Molly Howie a job. You okay? Fine, keep your job. I think the county or the city or collectively Jetto has probably got a talented person. So let's give Molly Howie an office somewhere. She's a nice girl. I remember she came to the ICSC convention. She saw a different side of Henry McClure at the ICSC convention, International Council of Shopping Centers. And you can't hate her today because she's just doing her job. Hey, look, it's like Doug Kinziger. So what? He's milking 500 grand off of the chamber and go Topeka. I think he was making a salary 250 over here, 250 over here. Hey, don't get mad at Kinziger because he made a deal. But here's the thing about it: don't be afraid to cut off the money because you're going to worry about what somebody thinks about you. But so let's just take that mall mentality that I have. I'm stuck with the mall mentality because that is where I learned the best part of economic development is just making deals. And so in the mall business, you got to put the right people in the mall because everybody used to pay percentage rent. So let's just say, oh, you're a greedy landlord. You're going to get a percentage of their sales. Well, yeah, but look at it this way. If you get 94% of your sales and 6% of your money goes to rent, well, that's not so bad. So we were incentivized to put the right people in the mall so everybody's sales would go up. We did out in Lakewood, California, the first planned unit development of Los Angeles, built in 52. We just kept putting jewelry stores in the mall. The mall was actually so big, Zales had a store here and a store here because they didn't think people would walk from one end of the mall to the other. That's how big this mall was. And the mall was 75 acres, 175 acres of real estate made up of strip centers, freestanding businesses. It was number one in restaurant and fast food sales volume and number two in jewelry sales. But jewelry sales just kept going up. I remember I did a deal in Reno, Nevada. Uh, Barnett Hellsberg called Mason Dana yelling about Henry McClure, taking Victor Valdez out of the Zale store, and we put him in a kiosk just down the road, or down the mall. So Victor Valdez, his sales are like 500,000 out of 144 square feet, and Hellsberg's sales volume went up 300,000. Everybody had to report their sales to us because we had to make sure we're running the mall appropriately. So we pick up 300 sales volume over here and 500 from the kiosk. Business begets business. So we've got 800,000 in new jewelry sales because that's the place to go buy jewelry. And what I loved about Reno more than anything was the business people were the most savvy. They understood the numbers. Hey, maybe they're all card counters, but Reno was absolutely the best town I've ever worked in as far as local people, if not just overall fun. Everybody thought I owned the Peppermill Casino. Or not, everybody at the Peppermill Casino thought I owned Park Lane Mall. And that's where my life starts taking a whole new story was what I learned from working for the Mace Rich Company. So Mace Siegel is here in Topeka and he develops what is now where Chick-fil-A and Whataburger are going, and Gordman's, which is now Mainline Printing, the car hops part of our property. So back in the 60s, Mace was able to ground lease these. And probably the biggest reason they were ground leases because people didn't want to deal with a New York Jew. Mace used to say it that way. Mace was a good dude, married a Catholic girl, whatever, that doesn't matter. But Mace would say, Henry, the New York Jew walks into the Midwest, I can't get deals done, but I hired Dana K. Anderson over here, and the doors start opening up, and deals are made, and Dana K. can make all the deals. And that's kind of the essence. That's the essence of how, um, if we want to bring back the Boulevard, we got to start channeling Mace Siegel. But that was the reason you're going to see Chick-fil-A and Whataburger, because we bought out that ground lease. And I'm telling you, the Chick-fil-A and Whataburger are going to impact the Boulevard and Topeka in sales more than we know. And that is great economic development. And we probably are going to need some help. People, if you really want to see those happen, 2 years ago, we begged we begged the city to let us add another light because, just like Wheatfield, because the prospects that we were talking to thought it would be essential the way we were going to lay it out. And real estate people listen to our customers. We try to bring it in. And not only did they say no, they said hell no. So we made the deals, got them in place. And then 2 years later, the city goes, hey, you got to put a light in there. But all this ties together. All this ties together because we did ask Go Topeka for help. I asked Go Topeka for help to buy out the ground lease and I thought it was justifiable to the taxpayers because, hey, it's making land shovel ready. I'm just doing what the consultant said. If you have more shovel ready land, well, you're going to make more deals. It's like tearing down the travelers. I'm not asking for extra. I'm just going back to the original playbook. Well, if we tear that down and look at the interlocal agreement, number one, that's a quality of life for our police department. Man, I got to thank Topeka Police Department. They went out there and helped me get that thing vacant. So uh, um, I want to thank Jim Klossman right now for calling the mayor and letting me address Jetto. Thank you. Jim Klossman's easier to get a hold of than our mayor, and he's more powerful. And Jim says I'm a little rough on you, Mike. Call me back, man. I remember when you were a security guard out at White Lakes driving a Crown Vic. And you can say, man, I remember when you were an alcoholic. Well, I still am. But I'm 8.5 years clean and sober. Will that be enough for Topeka to elect me to office? But I didn't stagger around my whole life. But look, you grow up, you're around, you're enabled. It's what happens. But we need to change. And that's what it's all about with me personally, is I've changed so much. After I've changed, and I don't think I'm any big deal. Well, if I can do it, you can do it. Come on, let's just get with the program. Topeka, we got to change. We've got to do things different. I think one of the number one platforms that I really need to consider is, it really comes down to drug addiction. And that early drug addiction is where everybody gets sideways in the universe and want to escape life. And so I see the idea of creating some sort of drunk tank place to rehab, attach it to the jail, place for spiritual growth, mental health, all in. It's like we need to create a mall of mental health, a place where a homeless guy can just take a shower, get a hot meal. That's the thing about our mission. It's so God based that some of the homeless people get turned off on that. And that's what I've always loved about the AA program. What Dr. Bill did, he created a system that you can't say no to. Hey, just find a higher power. And when it comes to real estate, my higher power becomes every agent, every licensed person, everybody that wants to make a deal in Shawnee County. And that's what I want to do. I want to create a higher power of individuals because I'm an individual business. I got to pay my rent. If I if I want help, I've got to pay personally for my experts. This stuff ain't free out here. But if you're working for the government and you're sucking $1.9 million, you're going to not like a guy like me. And that's what a friend of mine was saying the other day. What are they going to get on you, Henry? There'll be something come out of the woodwork because that's Topeka. And part of the charm of coming home, besides being a fourth generation person who didn't hate Topeka when I left, is this is like Mayberry after living in LA for 10 years. I didn't want to raise Bianca there. I didn't want to raise her in, I did not want to raise her in Tampa. I'll never forget one of my first weeks living in Clearwater, Florida. I looked out and I saw a guy from Topeka, and he's down there on the lam. It was in the it was in the winter, and he's down there. He's a fugitive. It's oh man, now that's funny. What are the chances of that happening? Well, so I need help. I want help from anybody that's a licensed real estate person that's interested in commercial real estate. 90% of the business is usually done by 10% of the people. But that guy over there, he may know some big deal. And if he can come and make one deal and bring one deal to Topeka, and therein lies the conundrum. The people that run the Greater Topeka Chamber of Commerce and also controlling the economic development, they could be making mixed decisions for the town. It was like Kevin Cook. Let me tell you about Kevin Cook. Kevin Cook was in the Gordman's building, now Mainline Printing, and we were asking for some help, which we got from Jetto, Go Topeka. And if I told you the sales volumes, which I'm not at liberty to tell you, from the day I sold Mainline Printing, the Sears building, and 9 acres of land, what their sales volumes were, they were down there by the jail on Adams, moved over here to today. If I told you about that today, to what they are now. So we're in the Gordman's building. Sterling and Blake Scott did a lot to get it prepped up. We got it demoed. We added a new door. We did some stuff. Man, I love that door. I loved having like a garage door opener, drive your car in there. God's Storehouse, they got to use it temporarily. And that's when I really fell in love with God's Storehouse was, man, look at all this stuff. Everybody's just donating it. What we live in such a nice community. But let's all work together. So Kevin Cook says, now I got John Parker Jr., who's working his ass off trying to run his printing business. I got Sterling Scott, who's investing his money trying to figure out how to get a stoplight and get deals done up on the front. I'm right behind $7 million in new printers being installed by mainline printing. You got to see these printers. Mainline printing is a gem within the city. It's a worldwide printing company. Parker started like his one of his presses is the what it was one of a kind. He's got this holographic printer and he's like investing in it and finally he buys the company out, but he's going to get this holographic printer done hell or high water. And his so and everything it's like the real estate business is like a tapestry. It really is. And one thing affects the other thing. It's the butterfly effect like you don't even know. I kept encouraging him to buy the rest of the mall because one day he'd want to control it. I tried to get the city to help enforce the codes. I kept trying to say this Christie guy is never going to close on the mall. And this is a bunch of okey dokey slow players trying to milk Topeka. I know a guy out at Villa West that's having a problem like you don't even know. And actually, that guy thinks that, well, whatever. So let's go back. I've been trying to think and be cognizant of my videos having like one topic. But when this is your life, this is my livelihood. And I think to coming back to Pika in a lot of ways has stunted my growth professionally. But today I'm awake and I can see what's going on. And I can see there's no difference in Go Topeka to me and a bottle of Johnny Walker Black. If you're gonna keep drinking that stuff, see, I'm not gonna drink that Johnny Walker Black. And to me, Go Topeka is no different than the Johnny Walker Black, because what they're telling you, keep buying me. Look at Mars Family and the corporate welfare. Look at we've got a Walmart distribution center. We're helping Walmart enable to put all the other small businesses out. Who's getting enriched from all these deals? There is a lot to cover and all that. But believe it or not, the blender is working. So I'm going to start laying out small cases in order. I really someday want to get into really how positive, and not just because I did it. College Hill. A lot of my friends tell me College Hill is so successful. Yes, there was a shortfall in the bonds, but there was also a shortfall in the way my public partner treated us. It was a public private partnership. And every time I turn around and there's a problem in my life, it's either the city of Topeka or that Johnny Walker Black. Do you see the analogy? Because sometimes my daughter's always saying, Dad, it's in your delivery. To have a very powerful person call me yesterday and say, some of your videos are scary because they're true. I had a guy tell me that I think a lot of a spiritual leader and guide. I've been watching your videos. And I'm going, okay, what's going to happen now? He says, you're right about Go Topeka. And I love the analogy of the Johnny Walker Black and Go Topeka. That's what they are. Or you could say they're the Kool-Aid. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid. It's sugar water. That sugar water's bad for you. They're serving you the Johnny Walker Black, telling you your life's better. So all we did was give the working poor a lot of jobs. We don't even have bus service that runs out there. I mean, let's start doing some things right. We got to do everything to where the snowball as it's rolling downhill, but we got to relook at how we do economic development, and we got to change the players. We got to change the playing field. I want to bring every licensed real estate person to the table. Who do you know? What do you know? That's what we do. And hey, got a vacancy. Who could we call? And we get paid the day the deal happens. And sometimes, the harder you work, the luckier you get. But let me tell you, when you have to make a deal to eat, you think differently. You got to get up early. You got to get to work. You got to get ahead of the government around this joint. So I thought I'd run for office. Maybe I can affect some change from the inside. Let's kick the city out of the 3 mile radius. Let's the boundary of the city limits is the boundary of the planning department. Are we clear on that? And it's not. This isn't the planner's fault. The county, the county, we really need to look at the subdivision regulations because what they've done is they've adopted a lot of the city regulations. Let's start like Reno. Let's start looking at Topeka like a tourist town. This is where the frontier people used to retreat to heal up. There's stories about uh, Western people as we as they're trying to tame the Wild West. I loved what Lincoln said. Kind of an Abraham Lincoln fan. Any guy that takes his little brother and puts paint on his feet and has walks on the ceiling, that's my guy. Abe Lincoln was an interesting guy. He had a lot of failures. We learn more from our failures. And, he fought some demons inside. Life is, life is learning to cope with your demons. And part of recovery is you just got to show up and you got to want to change from within. So if I can get enough people that want to change and quit saying, it's like Like when Craig McCullough, okay, sorry, when Craig McCullough ran against our now deputy mayor, I'm just saying, what have the Akala family ever done in their district? What have they done? What have you done? Because I've got a sneaking suspicion they're going to run against Cook, and that's where that racist stuff's going. I just realized I never finished my story about Kevin Cook because rambling on sidetracks. We're in. I got Sterling Scott, John Parker Jr. We're trying to get some money. Mainline printing's trying to grow. He looks around, $7 million in printers back here, all this investment. We're moving down the road. And he said, printing, we've got too much printing in this town. What would go good here is apartments. Well, let's just break it down to real estate, dude. This is zoned industrial. I like. We went through a lot of work to get the zoning change. We've already got a printing company in here. How do you tell a guy that's investing millions upon millions in your community to his face, we got enough of what you're doing and we ought to put apartments here? What a buffoon. Decisions like this are real estate related. I can make them better. Well, that was a lot. That was a lot for one show. So, all in the delivery, how to present this. So, I need a lot of help. And I'm going to start by help. I want to give 650 businesses the opportunity to do business in Topeka. So think of all the jobs that's going to create. Because if every business, every real estate person is doing more deals, well, they can hire more help. Hey, I need to get a photographer out there to that listing. We need to hire this guy to do this and that. Well, let's go ahead and fix that before, let's fix that up. So just hiring or making a deal with 650 businesses, that's going to be the largest job creation we've ever made. And that's the whole reason Go Topeka has shut me down. Well, that doesn't create jobs. That doesn't create jobs. Well, the interlocal agreement isn't about job creation. You got to read it. Economic development, infrastructure, and quality of life. Well, they're winning on the quality of life because they're sucking $1.9 million in the money to have a better quality of life. Why we all sit here and have to suck it up. They're spoon feeding us sophistry. Take it. Take it, because they're bigger. Government has become so much bigger than the taxpayer. Hey, Greater Topeka Chamber of Commerce, you want this? Well, then you pay for it. Everybody's always willing to give away tax dollars. It's just so easy. And I was watching this video that Rand Paul did about Davy Crockett. So, hey, Greater Topeka Chamber of Commerce, if you if you're winning somehow over all this corporate welfare, well, you start paying for it. If the top 1%ers want to keep the mission going, fine. But let's have a separate mission over here where we're taking tax dollars that help add infrastructure to our community. And ultimately, I think what we're going to have to do is go back to more of the commission form of government, where we've got a street commissioner, we've got public safety commissioner, and this is very simple. One thing you've got to look forward to. So by statute, and I think Doug May might have been the guy that got this set up, and I really want to meet Doug May. And that's Aaron May's father. Is that by statute you've got to have the 3 county places in place. So let's take inside the city limits and let's just create 3 sections. I mean, because you really kind of have 3 Topekas. You got North Topeka, East Topeka, and Southwest Topeka. So let's create 3 districts inside the city limits, and then let's have one Shawnee County wide person that's like the administrator. So Topeka, the city of Topeka they have no clue how to hire people. Look at what we've had in city managers. The best guy they ran out of town, and let's go back and look who ran him out of town. It's the same guys that put toilet seats in front of a mayor's office. What kind of people do that? They're animals. But if we look at what we've had. And, and that Doug Gerber guy, I got resentments against him. Go out to where Topeka Pizza was. The it's now the granite, the countertop people. It was Bobo's. It's been a myriad of different people, different things. Originally, I think it started off as some sort of ice cream fountain store, like a Sundays, whatever. So much going on in there, but it was so many deals. But when Topeka Pizza bought it, we were trying to get like, well, let's get a ride in off of 17th Street, so you don't have to go up to Arvonia and then come all the way around. And Bill Fyander and Doug Gerber, they were there. No, can't do that. And now time marches on, and go look at the hospital that's right across the street. The very thing that we asked for, they did across the street later. If Cody Foster wouldn't have gone down to the city of Topeka and said, I'm not doing any more deals here until you change it, I would think it's just me. And the last guy you want to pick on in this city is Cody Foster. Look at all the stuff that guy's done. I think it's almost prophetic, the fact that where Bullfrogs was is now a church, at least for me, and the genesis of the maturing of Henry McClure. And Jim Klossman's on a mission, man. What a successful guy. I mean, that retirement home business is just like, it must be just like a cash register. You can just keep. We have to change how we do things, because we've got to make it to where guys like Henry McClure can do deals just as easy as Cody Foster and Jim Klossman. We've got, and that's where Topeka grows, where anybody, when you start to feel old, get young friends. I don't feel old, but I'm telling you something, that some of the elected officials have got to go. Like politicians are like diapers, right? You got to change them every once in a while, right? I'm telling you, I got a phone call. I got a phone call the other day from David Banks, newly elected city councilman out in District 4 wanting to know what is the real reason for Pizza Hut taking so long in his district. I'm telling you, if you know a fella named Tony Emerson, I'll bet you that guy's so glad he's out of city council. But what I liked about Tony Emerson was he was a businessman. He cared about Topeka, and have you ever heard that saying like, "Man, he's a real Boy Scout"? Well, that's a compliment. There's a lot of there's a lot of Boy Scouts out there. The foundation of scouting. Forgot. Be prepared. I made it to star. But I tell you, Tony Emerson, he's an Eagle Scout when it comes to being a city council person. Always take your phone call, very interested. What was really wild was I used to work for his uncle back in the day, mowing the fields for out at Lake Sherwood. Well, if you stayed through the end, you've got personal fortitude. I want to try to figure out how to get elected because I want to change government. I want to kick the government out of the real estate business. I want to defund Go Topeka. At the end of the day, I'd like to really break up the Greater Topeka Partnership. It's just not healthy having all the uh, different entities to grow Topeka under one cabal. It's like when I become a District 2 Shawnee County Commissioner, I'm going to start appointing people. Hey, have you ever been on a board? No. Okay, then you're the guy I want. It's like the royal family. After a while, when their ears started getting big and their noses started growing due to incestuous um, sexual activities, the gene pool becomes stale. It's not healthy. So let's grow the gene pool. Let's actually figure out how to grow population responsibly. And let's figure out how to lower our tax base. One of the best things you can always do to lower your tax base is to cut spending. And when is that ever promoted? I want to know. I want to know today. We merged the Parks and Rec and have the county running. Well, was that a good deal? Let's look at that. One of the number one ways to increase your profits is to cut your overhead. Hey, if you ain't making deals, you can't spend $1.9 million drinking that Johnny Walker Black. So let's get with the program. Let's make some changes. I need your help. Boy, that was good. That was a morning workout. I wonder how many calories I burnt. I got to get one of those health watches, right? How many calories did you burn making this video? Henry McClure Live. I'm alive and well. I need your help. I'm gonna engage. I love that. I learned something today on this video. I'm going to engage 650 businesses so those guys all do better. They create jobs amongst themselves because they're doing so many more deals. And the nice thing about it, when I'm done with this project, it'll be easier for me to make a living in this city as a real estate guy. I love doing deals. And that's what you need. You need business people that are willing to donate some time, talent, and treasure. In Topeka, we have a lot of the treasure being donated to control all the politicians' time. But I want to engage small business. And how do we go to the neighborhoods and make some changes? Like, where's our College Hill for the Oakland area? Let's, Doug Bassett's always saying, Henry, a deal's got to stand on its own at the end of the day. Let's quit trying to create deals that are subsidized. And, if you've got to buy the deal, was it really worth having? I got more to report. I got more to say. Have a good day. It's a beautiful day. It's only 50 degrees. That cold snap, boy, that wakes you up. But I love being back home in Topeka, and I'm going to make it better. I want to make Topeka, Shawnee County, a place where my daughter would like to come home to. If I can do that the next 60 years, I will have succeeded. I love you.